Utah has created an election guide with the most up-to-date information about when, where, and how to vote. You can find out about all the key voting deadlines, changes to polling places, and how to cast your ballot. Make sure the candidates hear from you. Get trusted, up-to-date election information at aarp.org/UT votes. That's aarp.org/UT votes. Paid for by AARP.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
Do you have chirping smoke detectors? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you've ever experienced chirping smoke detectors, you already know how annoying it can be. A great first step to try and stop the chirping is to change the batteries. If the chirping continues, it's possible that your smoke detector has gone bad. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even realize that manufacturers recommend replacing the smoke detector altogether after 10 years. If you remove the smoke detector from the wall, on the back you should find a date of when it was made. Do a little math and you'll know how old it is. Now, Any Hour Services knows being a homeowner means you've got a list a mile long of things to do around the house, and check my electrical system probably isn't one of them. That's why we've put together this radio special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive inspection of your electrical system that includes testing those smoke detectors and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. Call Any Hour Services to schedule it. 801-443-7300. 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
Spend time with KSL News Radio and get a deeper understanding of the world around us.
You've got voices like Boyd Matheson.
I enjoy his measured approach to things.
A very balanced view.
Inside Sources, weekdays 1 to 3.
On KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Steve Carlson.
Leftover delays, southbound 15, Murray out to Midvale, also in Utah County, American Fork to Linden, plus northbound 15 delays, Orem up to Pleasant Grove, and some leftover slowdowns in northbound Bangor approaching the 21st South Freeway. The 8th annual My Gluten-Free World Expo being held September 27th and 28th at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. See over 100 vendors showcasing the best of gluten-free. Steve Carlson, the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather down to 56 overnight for tomorrow. A little hotter, the high 83 degrees. Right now, 77 and a partly cloudy sky. I'm Jeff Kaplan. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com.
The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. Hello, Cougar Nation.
Handoff middle. First down. Touchdown. And listen to the Cougar Nation.
Every Monday night, we break down the Cougars' last game and look ahead to next week. Cougar Nation, brought to you by Central Bank. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
Good evening, Cougar Nation. Oh, what a game it was against Kansas State. Hope you had a great weekend, and I think all of BYU fandom and Cougar Nation, Mitch, they're living moss, if you know what I mean.
They sure are. Cougars get it done. Take down Kansas State 38-9 in Provo in one of the best atmospheres I think I've ever seen inside Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It was quite the night for BYU as the Cougs take down the Wildcats. They're now 4-0 in the season, number 22 in the AP Top 25, and they're 1-0 in Big 12 play. We want to take your phone calls throughout the next hour. 801-575-8255. How does this win change your expectations for BYU football this season? Or call in and share your thoughts on any questions or commentary you might have, your experience inside the stadium We want to hear from you. 801-575-8255. But, Matt, let's get to the takeaways.
Cougar Nation takeaways. Mitch and Matt analyze BYU's last week of play and what it means for the next week.
Huge win for BYU, and it, just as we all expected, Cougs win big over a number 13 Kansas State. No, none of us thought it was going to be a blowout win for BYU, but you know what? There was feeling that, BYU could win, and they do get it done, and it was such a impressive showing and one of the wildest turn of events you'll see in a college football game.
It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it, Mitch, in my entire life of watching college football. I can't even think of another game where Kansas State was playing better football than BYU throughout the majority of the first half. Then you force a turnover. That leads to another turnover, and then another turnover, and then the punt return. The momentum never slowed down. It was an avalanche of momentum that BYU rode to a massive 31-6 lead, and it felt like when Kingston took that long punt return back, the game was over. But my first takeaway comes back to the first couple Kansas State drives. This defense is becoming a real reason why BYU could be heading towards a special season, in particular the red zone defense. No touchdowns allowed a couple weeks ago at SMU. You see how many they put up against TCU, Mitch? Over 60 points against the Horned Frogs. They had no problem moving the football. This Kansas State team handily beat Arizona recently, and then they come in here and they don't score a touchdown. BYU's defense in the red zone is currently ranked 32nd in all of college football. That's a really good spot to be at. Some of the teams in the top 10, Ole Miss, that's a playoff contender. Texas, maybe a national champion contender. You're looking at Tennessee. They're knocking on the door of being a national champion contender as well after what they did at Oklahoma. So if you have a great red zone defense, Mitch, you can dream up special seasons. And right now, through the first, one-third of the season, this BYU red zone defense is special.
It's the best BYU defense since the Kalani Sitake era, and that's my number one takeaway from this game. I thought the best defense in BYU under Kalani has been 2020. That was during the COVID year. You just look at the personnel. I know that schedule was weak because they had to cobble up a schedule on the fly, but the personnel on that defense was really good 4 years ago. This is a better defense, and they're so aggressive, and it was pretty cool. We saw Jay Hill with 90 seconds left in regulation. We saw him going down the elevator at the end of the game. Or you might have actually already been down. I was in the elevator with him, and you could just see how happy he was. He was with his wife, Sarah, and Jay Hill called a masterful game once again, and they did a great job. There was a moment where you thought, okay, are they going to – Tyler Batty was saying on the sideline, bring 2 spies on Avery Johnson, and then the tides turned for BYU as they get that scoop and score from Tommy Parasis. They get the pick from Batty. They get the pick from Taggart. Then a special teams play. BYU's defense is making big plays, and that group is good enough despite any of the issues the offense, has maybe in a game or two, whatever happens going forward. This defense will put this BYU team in a spot to win any ball game on the schedule. No one in the Big 12 this year is elite. We're seeing that already. Anyone can go down in this Big 12 conference on any given week, and BYU having a foundation of a tough, physical defense is so good to see for BYU because that gives them a chance to win any ball game they play.
My other takeaway, Mitch, was this was the best game we've seen from Jake Retzlaff. 15 of 21, 2 touchdowns, 71% completion, 162 quarterback rating. He had some explosive plays. He rarely put the ball in harm's way. I can think of one situation that it was a 50-50 play, and Chase Roberts came down with the catch. That could have been picked off, but it wasn't. I just thought Jake played a great game. You saw what makes him a unique quarterback prospect, that throw to Retzlaff on the touchdown following the Tyler Batty interception. That was a high-level college football throw. Very few quarterbacks in college football can make that throw. And then he took care of the ball. He was opportunistic. I thought that was a great game from Jake Retzlaff. And if that's who you get going forward, Mitch, you could surprise some teams in the remainder of Big 12 play.
Retzlaff was 15 of 21, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. This was Kalani after the game on Retzlaff's performance.
Took care of the football. That's key. I don't think we had a lot of opportunities for the offense because the defense and special teams made a lot of plays and created momentum and had a lot of short fields. Yeah, I thought he handled the offense and actually made some really good checks for us and got everyone set up in a really good position. So Jake's doing a great job managing the offense.
He did a nice job, Jake did, and he's now 4-4 as a starter. After starting 0-4, now he's 4-4 as a starting QB for BYU. My second takeaway was Sione Imoa. He was excellent for BYU. 15 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. The final score of the game for BYU. A true freshman. And if you were listening to this show, our Cougar Sports Saturday, every Saturday from noon to 3 during fall camp, we were talking at times about Sione Imoa, but we didn't get much into the weeds about him because, well, he was the fifth-string running back, and in August, you don't talk about many fifth-stringers, but he did look good in fall camp. We saw a big workload for him in camp, but he looked really good.
He was fantastic, and it makes you wonder, when everyone's healthy, how do you divide the reps? Because Moa was breaking tackles. He was dynamic at times. He looks to be a really physical runner. It's a good problem to have when Hinckley, Ropati, and LJ Martin come back. You ride the hot hand, maybe game to game. But Moa is not someone, Mitch, who, when everyone is healthy, you can't keep him off the field. He's going to have to play. I think he's earned that from his performance against Kansas State.
And Kalani said that LJ Martin this week out. He's not on the depth chart. Hinckley, Ropati, there's still hope on him that he could come back. But Sione Imoa, he might have to be your RB1. Let's get out of the phone line, 801-575-8255. We'll bring in Bob from West Valley. Bob, your experience with Kansas State fans over the weekend?
Well, I think you meant Todd.
Oh, Todd. Okay. Sorry, Todd.
Well, no, the interesting thing is playing around on the internet, Facebook groups like that. Almost all of them are still minimizing BYU, saying, oh, we beat ourselves. It was our fault. And I'm like, well, let's see, 3 turnovers. Yeah, but you have to score off of turnovers or they're not worth a nickel.
It's a good point.
The offense did their job and the defense did the bend but don't break. Still virgin end zone the whole game. And if you don't like it, this isn't Kansas anymore, Toto.
Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. I think it's a good point because BYU was opportunistic, Mitch. These turnovers that the Cougar defense forced, they were not flukes. This wasn't a situation of Avery Johnson was looking at his receiver and the center snapped the ball and it bounced off his face mask and they scooped it up. They forced the fumble. They made the plays and then the offense handled it. So I don't think that was necessarily Kansas State making mistakes as it was BYU forcing those mistakes.
Agreed. And to one thing I will say for Kansas State fans, they're just not used to this. Kansas State doesn't beat themselves, and I think that's what makes this win so impressive. You know, Kansas State was a team that had 11 straight games of scoring 28 points or more. And Avery Johnson's one of the rising stars potentially in college football at quarterback, and BYU just shut this team down. And maybe a bonus takeaway, credit to the BYU fan base once again. False starts, illegal formations from K-State. They never do that with Chris Kleiman coached K-State teams. That was even a calling card under Bill Snyder. So BYU fans were electric. The team was on point. Jack Kelly putting a helmet on that ball and jarring it at loose from DJ Giddens, and then Tommy Parasis with the scoop and score. BYU was opportunistic, and when the offense got those short fields, I did like how Retzlaff sensed the moment and took shots downfield.
Yep.
That pass to Chase Roberts for a touchdown. It was just a good game by BYU. And look, you can't assume that it's going to happen every week. You get that wild turn of events in a 10-minute stretch. But it's a good feeling to know that BYU is an aggressive team, and they're actually a team that can create some havoc plays on defense. You think about 2 years ago or even last year on defense, BYU never could have dreamed up a scenario where they had that string of success. Never. Yep. They just didn't have those playmakers. They didn't have that belief in the system, and you're seeing that belief show itself because they're playing fast out on the field, and that's why they're off to a 4-0 start.
Let's get to one more call before the break. Speaking of that electric environment, it really was one of the best environments I've been in. Cameron, what was your experience like down at LaVell Edwards Stadium?
It was incredible. I took my 8-year-old son to his first BYU game, and I had never heard noise like that before. It was unbelievable. I was so happy to see that Ryan Smith was there to take some of those ideas back to the Delta Center because the production value, the noise, just the excitement that was generated in that crowd was nothing that I'd ever experienced in my life. And I'm afraid my son will never match that again, so it was a great first really high bar to set for him. It was just unbelievable.
Thanks, Cameron, for the call. It was an amazing atmosphere. I mean, I was thinking my boys were at the game too, and they asked me, Dad, is that the best atmosphere you've ever been a part of? And, you know, I think back to that 2022 Baylor game, 2021 Utah was great. There were some great games in 96, 2001 Utah's up there for me. I think that was one of the loudest games I've ever been a part of. 1990 Miami's incredible. There's been some great ones, 85 Air Force, but this one was special, too, from the fact that it was your big breakthrough in the Big 12, and that makes it special. We got to take a break. On the other side, we'll get to more of your texts, 801-575-8255. This is sponsored by Central Bank, serving Utah County for over 133 years with trusted service, modern technology, and personalized care. Central Bank, proud sponsors of Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Heads up, the parents called to their Little League player who was counting daisies in the outfield. Heads up, the coach called to his players, hoping that they would see and respond to what was about to happen in the game. When we say heads up, we're saying pay attention to the details of your job. But we're also saying pay attention to what's happening in the game. All of us are charged with doing micro details, but also seeing the bigger picture and reacting to macro surprises and helping others. If you do just the details, heads up. If you see just the big picture, heads up too. Learn more about framing your work in an MBA program from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
This week's movie show is brought to you by Sound Sleep Medical. Get a free sleep screening and a free sleep consultation by tuning in Friday morning. Sound Sleep Medical with 7 locations in Utah.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
For over 133 years, Central Bank has been a cornerstone of Utah County, providing generations of families and businesses with trusted community banking services and are more than just a bank. Central Bank is part of Utah's legacy. With 12 convenient locations across Utah County, Central Bank combines the strength of traditional customer service with the convenience of modern technology. Customized one-to-one service means you're never just another account number, and your phone call actually rings to a real person.
Hi there, thanks for calling Central Bank.
Voted Best Bank and Best Mortgage in Utah Valley, Central Bank is here to help you with all your financial needs. From top SBA lending services for small businesses and quick turnaround times on construction loans. They're dedicated to helping you build your future. Whether you're cheering for the Cougars or building your dream home, trust the bank that's been here since the beginning. Central Bank, strong, local, secure, since 1891. Online at cbutah.com or any of 12 Utah County locations. Central Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
How many things affect your life as much as slow traffic and bad weather? Listen tomorrow morning for traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into Cougar Nation, sponsored by Central Bank. We're taking your calls up until 7 p.m., 801-575-8255. Chime in on the wind, chime in on the atmosphere, or you can answer our question of the day. How have your expectations changed after the win against Kansas State? You can text us as well, 575-00-8381. This is their answer to our question, Mitch. I originally thought that they would go 5-7 this year. That was my preseason prediction as well. Missing out on a bowl game, 5-7, and yet here they are 4-0 after the first 4 games. Now I think they might go 8-4, 9-4. I'm kind of there with them because you look at the last couple games of this of the schedule, it got soft at the end of the schedule, Mitch. Kansas at home, that should be an easy win. At Arizona State, that's a little harder than initially appeared, but it's still a very winnable game. And then you finish out the year with Houston, which is the absolute seller of the Big 12. They're no good. Yep. So right there, you're at a bowl game. Like, I think this win against Kansas State has recalibrated my expectations. When you beat a team as handily as you did against Kansas State, the expectations have to change. Now you're a good football team. You need to go forward and win games and act like a good football team. And that's going to be the challenge for them going forward is, can they win a game like they have this Saturday against Baylor? Can they hold serve at home against middle-of-the-road Big 12 teams? If they can, then maybe a special season is in order, but definitely expectations have changed.
No question. And I will say, though, I could see BYU losing the next 5, but I could also see them winning the next 5. You know, BYU is in a spot here where this week at Baylor will be critical for the trajectory to me because BYU has shown many times under Kalani that they can win a one-time top 25 game.
Right.
Big setup, September. They can do that. I think what gives me more confidence, though, for this group to maintain the success is that there's more depth this year, particularly on the defensive side, but also offensively. You got to give credit to the running back situation. I was harping on it. I was saying, why did you not get a transfer portal running back? Are you kidding me? Sione Aimoa was a stud, and no one saw that coming. And look, Kalani was telling us. I mean, I remember at Big 12 Media Day, he ran through the itemized list and gave us all the running backs and broke it down to us. And I thought, okay, I'll store that away and think about that running back unit down the road. But I didn't think Sione Aimoa would be big time against K-State in a marquee spot, late night, throwback uniforms, biggest crowd in 15 years, and he delivers. That's great to see. BYU's depth is much better spot than anyone gave them credit for coming into the year. And I think their top 22, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, are much better as well. I love what's happening with the offensive and defensive lines. BYU's in a good place. It's just now following it up because I think Cougar fans have this fear that, okay, now when the expectations start building, when's the fall going to happen? And look, maybe that's just Cougar fans getting worried and this and that, but look, we've always talked about how being an underdog at BYU, that's a great space to live in. It's now being, an expected to perform and deliver. How do you respond to that environment?
That's a good point, and that's why this Saturday's game, which we'll break down a little later in the show, is so interesting because we're going to learn a lot about this BYU football team. If they pass this test, which is kind of a trap game, it's at a weird time, then you can really start to dream up what could be a special season. Let's get back to the text. There's plenty of text flowing in. You can call us as well, 801-575-8255. How have your expectations changed after the win against Kansas State? I like this text here. This is from 0195. Defensively, we are phenomenal. We are 4-0 because of our defense. Stopping the 2 best teams we've played so far from even scoring a touchdown, that's incredible. You can't ask for more than that. My expectations are for the offense, though, to move the ball all the way down the field and not only be able to score when our defense only makes it so you have to go 35 to 40 yards down the field. I think there is some unnecessary trepidation towards the offense today. There's still a lot of text, Mitch, coming through. I don't trust the O. I don't trust A-Rod. I don't trust Retzlaff. What do these guys have to do? They did everything they needed to do in this game to put themselves in a position to win. Even late in the game, they put together that drive, that phenomenal touchdown run from Sione Aimoa, breaking tackles, punches it in. They took care of the ball. They were explosive at times. they've shown ways to win different games. Even at Wyoming, you have that early turnover, doesn't slow them down. They just keep pushing the ball down the field. They put up the points against SMU. It was rough, but they got the job done when it mattered. I get that all the spotlight's on the defense, and rightfully so because they're playing great football, but this isn't like 2012 where the defense was great and the offense stunk. The offense is doing enough to win you games right now, and let's celebrate that. Let's enjoy that because we've sat through some bad offenses. I don't think this is a bad offense. Is there room to improve? Sure, of course there is. But let's not act like these guys are bottom 10 in college football. They're in the middle of the pack, and that works for now.
I think just Cougar fans are probably looking at this and saying if the expectations are changing, well, you got to have leveled up quarterback play, and that's...
It was leveled up.
No, I think it was fine. I thought Jake was fine. He did everything he was asked to do. I'm not knocking. I'm just trying to get into the mind of Cougar Nation on those comments because if we are going to change the expectations for this team and expect more than just simply 6, that does need to continue and improve. And I think that's why you see coaches always like, okay, he managed it well, great, but we always need to keep getting better. And I think that's naturally the expectation. But I thought Jake did a solid job. I thought he did a really good job. And I think Kalani put it best that he did a really good job managing the offense last week. And I thought the wide receivers showed well. I mean, Chase Roberts on that special play. Jake takes the big hit in the pocket, takes it from a Kansas State defender. Chase goes up and makes a big grab. I mean, that was a huge play. So BYU has been opportunistic, and they took care of the football too. I always love when BYU doesn't cough up the ball. They're going to win a lot of ball games. You know, Kalani's teams, when they are plus in the turnover margin, that's a good sign for the Cougars. So there's good things right now for BYU as they get ready for the Baylor Bears, and the texts keep coming in, Matt. 71-23, I still love the defense. They play with heart and attitude. I still don't trust the offense and play calling. Okay, that's fair. We'll see. And look, I think this week will be a great barometer to see, and that's what I love about being a power conference is that there's no gimmies. They're all going to be tough. BYU's an underdog going into the Baylor game, oddly enough.
3-point underdog right now, which is sort of crazy because I don't think this Baylor team is very good. If they win this game, and this to me is the definition of a trap game, Mitch, because Baylor is not very good. They got killed by Utah earlier in the year. I know they made a quarterback change, but this is a very winnable game. Great teams win these type of football games. Let's see what happens. If they win this, they're in a great position because you look at that schedule, man. Oklahoma State is beatable. Arizona is beatable. We already talked about the last part of the schedule. There's only 2 tough games left, Utah and UCF. So it's getting very interesting. We got to take a break, though. On the other side, we'll get to what's trending and more of your calls here on Cougar Nation.
Good evening, 6:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL's top local story. Fallout from the large boom last week. Now the Tooele Army Depot is offering a daily heads up when explosions could be especially nerve-rattling.
Army Depot says these are routine detonations of old military equipment that will continue through October. Cities are also keeping residents updated on noise disturbances after last week's explosion sent homes shaking all over the valley. Sandy and Cottonwood Heights made sure to let their residents know about today's blasts, while Spanish Fork is letting people know about pyrotechnic explosions planned for Saturday's Wings and Wheels event.
KSL News Radio's Claire Scott there. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Pentagon says it's sending more troops to the Middle East as Israel carries another attack against Hezbollah in Beirut. ABC's Marcus Moore reports Israel is warning residents to clear out because more strikes are coming.
We've also seen a lot of traffic and long lines for gas as people are trying to get ready for what may come next. People here have been on edge for weeks, and it just got worse today.
Lebanon's health ministry says Israeli strikes today killed more than 490 people, including more than 90 women and children in Lebanon. They say more than 1,600 people were wounded. KSL News Time 6:31, and coming up, the weather's going to get a lot warmer the next few days. The KSL forecast is coming up next. KSL News Time 6:32.
Are you tired of yo-yo dieting? Are you thinking about trying the latest fad prescription drug with their long list of possible serious side effects? Most people don't realize that while you may lose weight, it's just temporarily suppressing your hunger, so as soon as you get off the drug, your frustration and your weight could come right back to haunt you. At slcfatloss.com, we know the secret to quick weight loss and, most importantly, safe and lasting weight loss. Our program has helped thousands of clients break the weight loss code. Gone are the starvation diet plans. Our program is healthy weight loss, using real whole foods and proprietary strategies to help guide our clients through their successful weight loss with a roadmap to keep the weight off long term.
I'm Maria Chaleos. After losing more than 40 pounds with the help of Salt Lake City Fat Loss, I can't recommend it highly enough. It quickly melts your stored fat, is easy to stick with, and I'm confident that I can now keep the extra pounds off. Check it out for yourself at slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
Nearly 70% of Utah's land is controlled by the federal government, severely limiting Utah's ability to actively manage and protect our natural resources. Our families, businesses, and communities know there's a better way. Utahns have been good stewards of our public lands for generations. That's why we're asking each and every Utahn to get informed, speak up, and learn more at standforourland.utah.gov.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself, because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print everything for my business. Sure can. And the quality is guaranteed? Absolutely. Plus, you'll beat any price quote. Is that right? For sure. How about this one? We'll beat it. Can you print menus, signs, and flyers? Sure can. How about blueprints? No problem. What about red prints? Not a real thing. What if they were? We'd print them, and they'd look amazing.
Now at Staples, print more, save more. Up to $150 off your print purchase. Ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details and staples.com/price match for in-store price match guarantee.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
In a big election year like this,
Trump called for a grand jury to investigate.
News happens fast.
Harris said she wants an assault weapons ban.
A significant paradigm shift for the Secret Service.
On the way to work, searching for lunch, or heading home, come here to catch up. We have you covered in the car at 102.7 FM.
Emergency traffic on KSL brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Steve Carlson.
We have lingering slowdowns on the southbound 15 right now at the south interchange with a stalled vehicle in the mix just before 90 south. That's on the right shoulder. A good drive, though, on I-15 through Utah County, plus slowdowns on northbound I-15 at 21st South heading into downtown. And delays on northbound 3rd West between 4 South and North Temple by the Delta Center for tonight's hockey game. Every 3 hours, a person or vehicle is hit by a train. Utah Rail Safety Week is Monday, September 23rd to Sunday, September 29th. Learn more at UtahOperationLifesaver.org. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast down to 56 overnight. Tomorrow, a little hotter, 83. Wednesday, a warm breeze and 90. Right now, 75 degrees. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com.
Be ready for BYU Game Day. Download the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games, plus breaking news during the week. That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into Cougar Nation. Mitch Harper, Matt Viamonte with you. We hold it down every Monday during the football and men's basketball seasons here on KSL, 6 to 7 p.m. Taking your phone calls and your text, 801-575-8255. You can line up the phone lines and weigh in on BYU football. How have your expectations changed after the win over K-State? or also just share your experiences inside LaVell Edwards Stadium on Saturday or your feelings on this BYU football team. We want to take all and any thoughts regarding BYU football here on Cougar Nation. But right now, Matt, let's get to trending up and trending down.
Cougar Nation, trending. What's trending up and what's trending down this football season?
Let's start with the positives, Mitch. Trending up for me. We've talked about it a little bit already. Running back depth. Sione Iamoa, even in a few flashes, Pokai Honga showed some ability. One of the inaccurate passes of the game from Retzlaff was to Honga, who was wide open. That could have been a touchdown. But the running back depth, man, it has really impressed me because I like Hinckley Rapati a lot. I know he hasn't produced this year, but I still think there's opportunities there for him. LJ Martin, when he's healthy, we know what LJ can do. But then you add in Sione Iamoa, who maybe is the most hard-to-tackle running back in the room as a freshman. That is impressive. So the running back depth is certainly trending up. I like the options there. I expect Sione to start against Baylor again with LJ being declared out. And, if you need, Miles Davis is there as a backup. He didn't take a snap against Kansas State, which is kind of interesting. But the depth in the running back room, it's going up.
It's hard to get snaps when you don't perform against Wyoming. That was kind of the moment for Miles Davis to say, I'm the guy while LJ and Hinckley are gone, and he didn't. He missed that opportunity, whereas Sione Iamoa was running harder in the Wyoming game. He would have had a touchdown in that Wyoming game, but it got negated by a Ray Paulo holding call, so he would have had back-to-back weeks with touchdowns. I'm curious to see how Moa continues to stack these up, because now that he's going to be on a scouting report, how does that change for him? For me, the trending up is the special teams return game. Back-to-back weeks, Matt. The return game produces a touchdown. Keelan Marion 2 weeks ago in the kick return. And then Parker Kingston, one of the wildest punt return touchdowns you'll see in BYU football history, a 90-yarder. Afterwards, he, putting it lightly, he was shook up on the sidelines to make it appropriate for the radio. Parker Kingston earns Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week, and this was Tyler Batty, I believe, after the game discussing Parker Kingston's punt return.
Can't find that clip, but it was a great one. Here, let's play another clip, though, that'll lead me into mine, Mitch, which is the environment. And this is kind of after that touchdown you just described with Parker Kingston, how loud it was. Tyler Batty could not believe, said that it was one of the best games he's ever played in terms of atmosphere.
It honestly was probably the loudest LaVell's ever been. Like there were moments. I mean, you want to think back to 21 ASU. I think that was probably the previous loudest time in LaVell. Tonight was absolutely deafening. We're trying to make checks, we're trying to make calls, and we're on the field and you're standing this close to someone, just screaming your head off, and you can't hear a word they're saying. So it was absolutely awesome. Again, I don't think there's another place like LaVell in the country.
And this leads me to my trending down. Beefy 5-layer burritos, Mitch. If you haven't followed this, earlier in the week, a Kansas State fan said if the Wildcats lost, he'd take a beefy 5-layer burrito and put it somewhere I shouldn't mention on the air. So they lost. He's been fun on X to follow. But the troll job by BYU was elite after that Kingston touchdown. They tweet, "Live Moss." So after the beefy 5-layer burrito has to go through what it has to go through, I'm putting it a little lower on my menu choices going forward. The atmosphere was amazing. And then you throw in the fun on social media and the banter. It was a moment that I think BYU fans will remember forever.
That's the type of content I live for. Honestly, the deranged fans on social media making bold proclamations, absolutely love that. If I'm going to get nitpicky on what might be trending down, because there's not much after a huge win, you want to celebrate that moment. Like, live it up. Like, that's the thing, is that enjoy the moment, Cougar Nation. Yep. Enjoy this chance, because after an offseason where you felt like, are they going to have Kalani on the hot seat? Now you're 4-0. Like, enjoy this moment. But if you got to get nitpicky and you're trying to raise the bar and keep stacking up these wins, third down conversion still a little bit of an issue. 3 of 9, you can get better there. I thought BYU, it wasn't as big of a storyline because, again, the offense was opportunistic when they got the short fields. They were on attack. They were not. I thought the decision-making was great. The execution in that second half and late in the second quarter was great. Even in stretches after the first drive where they went 3 and out and had 2 drops, I thought there was a really good execution by BYU. But again, third downs, you'd like to get that number improved. I know A-Rod looks at it as a chance to honestly set up 4th and short, and they're going to go. And they were 1 of 1 on 4th down. BYU's great on 4th down conversions this year, but you don't want to put it in that do-or-die spot. Get it done on 3rd down as the competition only continues to get better.
We're taking your calls, 801-575-8255, and we'll take your texts as well, 57500. Wasn't thinking clearly there. There's so many angles to take on this game, Mitch. I'm curious what you thought was the most impactful play of the game, because there's a few that you could go with. What would you say was the most impactful play of the game?
The scoop and score, it has to be, because Jack Kelly forcing the fumble, and then Tommy Parasis, the true freshman from Basha High School in Chandler, Arizona, same high school as Micah Harper, he comes up with a big play, heady play, where he scoops it up and then runs with it, makes a play. That's a tough thing to do, to secure the ball, gather possession, and then take off. Parasis showed his talent on display in that moment and then takes it in for the score. I just thought that changed everything about the game. Even if BYU didn't have the Tyler Batty, interception that turned into 17-6, just being up 10-6 potentially going in at the half it was a momentum change for BYU. That was so huge. I thought that was all the difference in the world, because after the Will Ferrin field goal to be down 6-3, I thought, okay, at least BYU got that going into the half, but really it was looking dicey those first 2 drives defensively, where Kansas State was just getting whatever they wanted. DJ Giddens was patient. He was shifty. The speed of Edwards in the backfield. Avery Johnson even popped off a 30-yarder. It was looking worrisome as they mounted those long drives, but they bent but didn't break, gave up field goals. So, but that scoop and score was the biggest play in my opinion.
Let's go out to the phone line. Our good friend Linda. Have your expectations changed for this season, Linda?
Absolutely. Yes. I didn't think they were going to beat Kansas. I didn't think we were going to beat Kansas. I say we, but I love saying we because I know Greg doesn't like that, but
we're okay with it here, though, Linda.
Oh, good. I love it. That's good because I think that wasn't that Parker Kingston that ran the 90-yard touchdown?
That was. Was that your favorite play of the game?
It was, absolutely, and nobody's mentioned that yet tonight, so I'm going to mention that. That was my favorite part because it was just phenomenal.
Good stuff, Linda. Thanks for the call, and we'll talk to you next week. 801-575-8255. Cougar Nation, we're taking your phone calls, and it's sponsored by Central Bank, serving Utah County for over 133 years with trusted service, modern technology, and personalized care. Central Bank, proud sponsor of Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio. And if you miss any part of this program, subscribe to our podcast feed on KSLSports.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up next, we'll discuss the question in greater detail. How have your expectations changed for the season? And we'll get an early look at the Baylor Bears next here on Cougar Nation.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60-plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Trail mix, beef jerky,
mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top-tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute, and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at sinclairoil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
My young son Michael lost both his kidneys. There's nothing worse for a mother than the feeling of helplessness when your child has a chronic or terminal illness. We felt so lucky when we learned that Michael's brother could save his life by donating a kidney. Today, both sons are strong, healthy young men with families of their own. Please help us save lives. Donate your car or truck to the Kidney Foundation. Kidney Cars donations promote organ donation and kidney disease prevention here in Utah. 17 people die each day while awaiting an organ transplant. 2/3 of these are waiting for a kidney. Make your car a kidney car, a car that saves lives. Kidney Cars donations make a great tax deduction. Donate online at towcars.org. That's TOWKARS. Or call the Kidney Foundation at 1-800-TOW-CARS. Cars with a K, like kidney.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Tim and Amanda.
One of the things I love about radio is that we are all hearing it at the same time. One of the differences between that and just scrolling on your phone is that I don't know when that story was posted. Maybe an hour ago, maybe 3 days ago.
To your point about who wrote it, where did it come from, and is it dated information, our hope every day is that we can provide a more broad spectrum of information on a single topic that you can then take and make decisions on your own.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Cougar fans, use this radio station tomorrow morning for important news updates. Listen to Utah's most important radio station tomorrow morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio, your legacy home of the BYU Cougars. Hey, get ready for an early wake-up call this Saturday. BYU and Baylor, 10 a.m. kick, 8 a.m. pregame with Greg Hands and crew in Waco. I'll be down there in Waco as well at McLean Stadium. Are you one that believes in the whole vampire Coug theory,
Yes,
Matt, that
I
BYU
do.
is a different team in the day compared to what they are at night?
I absolutely believe that. The stats back that up. And then if you just look at the way they go about their lives day to day, everything is in the afternoon and at night.
Mm-hmm.
We are creatures of habit, and our routines dictate a lot of how we feel, how we act, and how we perform. And this program is set to function in the evening.
Yeah.
So it is hard. I'm a morning person. So if you expect me to do my best work at 10 p.m. at night, it's just not going to happen for me. I'm barely keeping my eyelids open at 10 p.m. on most nights. I'm a morning guy. Other people, though, they can't wake up for anything. They're night owls, and they produce at night. I think you're this way. You're a night owl.
I love to stay up late, yes.
Okay. This program is designed around evening work. That's how it's been for years. Hard to flip that to the morning. Now, last year's performance against Oklahoma, that does give me some hope and optimism. That was an early game. They played pretty well. Besides some back-breaking turnovers, I think they exceeded everyone's expectations in that time slot. They can win, but I certainly think this team is better at night.
BYU has lost their last 10 games against FBS opponents that are afternoon games or morning games.
Yikes.
Lost their last 10.
That's a long streak, Mitch. That's longer than the Utah winning streak was.
So last year they were 0-5 in afternoon and morning games. So they got us a chance to end that streak. I do get a little bit worried about that. I mean, maybe it's just a media concoction, and it's just
not though. You look at the body of work.
That's what I'm saying. You just look at the trends, and when you just see how awesome, like when the Kansas State kick time got announced at 8:30, that honestly helped my belief in an upset, because we have seen BYU in late night spots is just brilliant at home. They are outstanding in those spots. And the atmosphere at LaVell Edwards Stadium, it's just remarkable. And I will just note, too, going back to the atmosphere, it is amazing how much it's changed, because 20 years ago, this wasn't a thing.
10 years ago, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it was not like this. The whole production, the
rock.
There's always something going on that keeps people's attention going, and I think that helps the cause. It's just been interesting because I've gone to SMU, terrible in-game production. There's no juice at all in that game day experience. Wyoming, well, there was no expectations, so it was still kind of okay, but it was Wyoming. Oklahoma State I thought was pretty cool. It was rainy, but it really stands out, and you've noticed on social media and some of the reaction from visiting fans that what BYU does is really standing out, and I think that's important going forward. Whatever the next iteration of college football ends up being, I hope it's just, hey, the Big 12 works, and it's working great for everyone involved, but I think it's great that you're building an identity of, man, that game day atmosphere is elite, and you want to just have that elite atmosphere carry over, though, to morning games, because in this league, you will get some morning kicks because you got Central Time Zone teams, you got Eastern Time Zone teams, and sometimes they'll throw an Eastern Time Zone team in Utah at 10 a.m. if the TV networks demand it. So BYU's got to be ready. John Nelson said today that it'll be about a 6 a.m. wake-up call. So for a group that typically practices in the afternoon, they get their lift in around 8 a.m., 9 a.m.-ish, better be ready to get ready to go for a road game against Baylor, who you are better than. It's just deliver and perform at the level that you're capable of, and I think BYU will win this game. It's just you got to, business as usual for this BYU team.
It's still college football. I think that's the thing, is even some of the great teams can struggle from week to week. Earlier this year, Georgia almost coughed one up in Lexington at Kentucky. They're a much better team than the Wildcats were, so anyone can beat anyone, especially in the Big 12 right now, where there is tremendous parity in this league. So, yeah, you have to be ready. It's going to be a challenge, and this is truly, Mitch, a trap game. Like, you look on paper, BYU looks to be better, but you could find yourself on the wrong end if you don't come correct.
3147, you can text us 57500. A game capitalizing, or they haven't had a game capitalizing on opponents' mistakes. While good does not mean the team is ready for prime time. I don't think that they are a top 25 team
I totally
yet.
disagree with that.
Yeah, I disagree too. I mean, they had a win over a really good Kansas State program.
Kansas State is a good football team, and I don't like the narrative that, oh, great, you capitalized on the mistakes. They forced the mistakes.
Right.
They made the plays. On the interceptions, there was a blitz package where they dropped Batty back that confused Avery Johnson and made him throw the football early. So that was BYU's defense making the play. On the play where Harrison Taggart intercepted it, Batty ran a stunt up the middle and forced a errant throw. So that's not just capitalizing on mistakes. They forced the mistakes.
And, again, Kansas State, that's not who they are.
No, they're a good football team.
You got to give credit to BYU for creating those mistakes. 3166 says, just don't blow it. Like they do every year, BYU always gets in the top 25 for starting out strong. Then they go on a losing streak. I won't believe this is real until they prove me wrong. That's fair, because the last 2 years, BYU has had
They were 3-0
losing
last
streaks
year.
of 4 games in 2022. That was with Jaron Hall. Last year they had a 5-game skid. So BYU has got to show that they've always shown under Kalani they can start a season strong.
This game is so fascinating this week against Baylor because these are the type of games in previous years that they lose. And then you say to yourself, I got hyped up, and they're not as good as I thought. And so that can either happen again, and it can become an 11-game day streak that you keep losing and you're not ready to meet the moment, or if they win this game, it doesn't have to be in convincing fashion. Just a win is good enough.
Yeah.
You really start to feel like this team is different. And then you look ahead. You get the week off to break. Then you come home. Arizona, beatable. Oklahoma State, beatable. You could be looking at no losses or 1 loss going to the rivalry
Any game in Provo, BYU's got a great chance. And they should honestly be a favorite.
Yep.
Because Provo is dynamite atmosphere. BYU can win any game on their schedule. I keep going to that. And I just think that, and one thing that we got to rewire our minds to, don't get worried about style points. That doesn't matter anymore. BYU, when they were an independent, sure, that mattered. When they were a Mountain West team, sure, that mattered. Now, just win the ball game. If it's 3-0 this week against Baylor, great. You got to win. Just find a way to get the win. Get out, get in there, go get the win. Because I bet it'll be a little bit ugly at times. Baylor's got talent. They got athletes. They've recruited the state of Texas. Dave Aranda, though, is on the hot seat. And this could be a do-or-die game for him. And maybe the response from Baylor after a devastating overtime loss to Colorado this past week, where Colorado completes a Hail Mary at the final horn at regulation to send it into OT. If Baylor doesn't have any energy, BYU could, roll in this game. But if they have some fight for Dave Aranda and they want to save his job, that could be a tough spot for BYU. But, BYU is a team that I think is going to be, they're not going to get blown out.
No.
I don't believe that. I think it's just going to be, there might be stretches where, okay, the offense isn't humming, but just face the adversity and keep